party people, Jay here with Carpe Pluma. Going to be talking to you today about the Montblanc Starwalker, specifically the rubber and steel edition with platinum trims. As always, there are going to be timestamps in the video description below, so if you're familiar with my videos and you'd like to jump around, feel free. If not, let's get into it. Here are 5 things you may not know about the Montblanc Starwalker. Number 1. Now this fact is unique to this particular model of Starwalker, the rubber and steel with platinum trim. Apparently, according to the concierge service at Montblanc, there was a manufacturing mistake when they were making these pens, and they did not make enough parts for them. For that reason, if you were to break your barrel or to break your cap and send it in to be replaced, Montblanc would tell you, "We are very sorry, we are unable to repair this," and that would be that. Now, to make up for this fact, if you have this pen and it is legit, of course not a counterfeit, you can take it into any Montblanc boutique and exchange it for 25% off of any non-limited edition pen. So if you can find this, really roughed up or smashed or whatever for $100 somewhere, take it in and get 25% off a $1,000 pen, you could save yourself a little bit of money. Of course, on the other hand, if you get this and you want to keep it and you want to get it fixed, there's a chance you're not going to be able to. Now, I was fortunate. The 4-part on mine was broken. They did have some extra 4 parts lying around, so they were able to fix mine. But I found out from the concierge service that more often than not, they will be unable to fix these, hence the 25% discount if you're willing to exchange it. Number 2. According to Montblanc, these Starwalker pens are cartridge only. This is a little bit strange to me since the Montblanc 144 is about the same size and there is a Montblanc cartridge converter that works in that. However, that does not fit in this pen. This pen is only designed to take Montblanc cartridges. However, if you search online, you look in forums and Facebook groups and things like that, there's been a lot of discussion about how to get around this problem. Most commonly used, or the most commonly cited, is the fact that the Faber-Castell converter fits in here quite nicely. That's what I have in mine. It fits in very snugly, seems to work very well. Faber-Castell, I believe, outsources their converters. They are Schmidt converters, so if you can't find Faber-Castell specifically, you can try a Schmidt converter. Hopefully it'll work as well for you as it did for me. One thing to note, though, is that these pens do have metal sections, so if you want to fill your pen in the traditional way, you could end up with some corrosion on the section, so maybe better to take the converter out, fill the converter, put it back in, push a drop or 2 through to prime it, etc. But according to Montblanc, they're cartridge only, so if you want a converter in here, you're going to have to get your own, and it will not work if it's a Montblanc converter. Number 3. The Montblanc Starwalker debuted in 2003 and was Montblanc's attempt to appeal to a younger generation of writing enthusiasts. Apparently, they thought that their brand had been associated a little bit too much with kind of stuffy luxury for old folks. And they wanted to appeal to, and I want to look at this so that I get it right, appeal to younger enthusiasts drawn by the appeal of purist aesthetic design. Now, I'm not sure how this is more purist, or the design is more aesthetic than something like the Meisterstück or any of their limited editions, etc. But that's what they were going for. So if you think the old Montblancs are too stuffy, maybe the Montblanc Starwalker is for you. Number 4, this pen does have one notorious problem, which is not really well known, but if you do enough searching, you'd probably find it for yourself, and that is that while the section is metal, as you can see here, and therefore the threads on the section are metal, the threads on the inside of the cap are plastic. Now, when metal and plastic come together, and there's some friction, obviously metal is going to win that battle, and when you put the cap on and off over and over and over again, eventually that plastic is going to wear out. Now, if you use your pen a lot, maybe that's going to happen in the first year. Your pen may still be under warranty, and maybe Montblanc will fix it for free. However, if you don't use your pen a crazy amount, it may take a few years for this to happen. Usually Montblanc warranties are 2 years, I believe, so your pen will be out of warranty, and Montblanc considers this normal wear and tear. They do not consider this a manufacturing defect, so they will not fix it for you. Now, this frustrates a lot of people because most people think of a Montblanc pen as being a pen that will last a lifetime, a pen that they will pass down to their children and their grandchildren, and the fact that the cap will simply stop working if you use it enough can be a little bit frustrating. So, buyer beware. If you are the type that caps and uncaps your pen very frequently, or likes your cap on there very tight, you know it's going to have a little extra friction, you might wear your cap out and you might have to pay up to $175 to get a new set of plastic threads installed in your cap. Number 5. As far as I know, Starwalker is the only pen for which there is an accompanying fragrance. Montblanc does have a couple other fragrances, the Legend fragrance and the Explorer fragrance. I saw both online at, for example, Macy's.com. I saw some mention of the Starwalker fragrance being discontinued, and I did not see that at some of the nicer, or some of the more above board retailers. However, on eBay and on Amazon, you could find the Starwalker fragrance. So I don't know if they just had backstock or if that rumor of it being discontinued was not true. Maybe someone can let me know in the comments and I will update the video. But if you like not only to pair your pens with inks, but you like to pair your pen with a fragrance, and you just want to be a Starwalker kind of guy, you can get yourself a Montblanc Starwalker pen, get yourself a Montblanc Starwalker fragrance. Now, I want to read this description here because I don't know much about perfume, so this is coming straight off of the product page. They call it a woody, spicy fragrance for men. The nose behind the fragrance is Michael Almerac. Top notes are mandarin orange, bamboo, and bergamot. Middle notes are sandalwood, cedar, and white musk. And base notes are nutmeg, ginger, amber, and fir resin. It's manufactured in France. Most of the reviews that I have seen have described it as sort of woody and citrusy. So unless you have a super nose, you're probably not going to pick all those middle and base notes up. But if you like, you know, you love your Montblanc Starwalker, you want to smell apparently like what they think this pen represents. It's woody, it's citrusy, it's the Montblanc Starwalker fragrance, and it can be yours on eBay. Now it's time for the anatomy of a pen, where we take a look at the pen from top to bottom, from finial to end cap. So let's get into it with the anatomy of a pen. As always, we are going to start at the top, and as you can see, as is the case on pretty much all Montblanc pens, this pen has that ubiquitous 6-pointed white star on the top, representative of the snowy peak of the highest mountain in the Alps, Mont Blanc. Now, what is unique about this pen is that instead of just sitting on the top of the pen, this white star appears to be suspended, floating in a clear plastic resin. So as you can see, if I turn the pen sideways, the star just about disappears, and as I turn it back around, you can see that you get a good clear view of it. All right, so coming down from that finial, we have a band around the top of the cap, which appears to be in two sections. There's a thinner band and then a groove and then a thicker band. On that thicker band, we have written Mont Blanc. Well, we've got 3 sort of dashes, 3 lines, and then Mont Blanc, and then we've got 3 more lines. There is a serial number on there as well, but it's going to be hard for me to get that to show up. It's quite small. Now the clip is kind of unique in that, for one thing, you can see the shape of it. It looks almost, I've seen it described as being harpoon shaped, and I think that's a pretty good description. It does look like some sort of, stabbing weapon of some sort, I don't know, but definitely unique in the shape of the clip. It's also got a sort of a rib, if I can get the light to hit it right, coming down about 1/3 of the way on top. The clip is medium stiff, I would say. It does appear to be welded to the band around the top. If it's not welded, the tolerances are very tight. I can't see any cracks, but Montblanc is notorious for having very, very fine tolerances on all their pens, so I'm not sure about that, and I'm not going to pull hard enough to be sure. Now, one thing to note about this clip is that, as you can see, this is where the cap ends right here. The clip comes down past the bottom of the cap. That means if you like to take the cap off your pen and set it down on the table, you're not going to be able to do that because it's going to fall over. So you're going to have to lay the cap on its side. Now that's not going to be an issue probably for this rubber and steel pen, but if you get a Starwalker that is made of the Montblanc precious resin, you may be concerned about getting your cap scratched up, laying it down on the table. So you are probably going to want to post this pen or just have somewhere safe to put your cap if you like to set it down, you know, on a piece of felt or cloth or something. Another thing to note about the cap is the sort of bulbous shape. Instead of being the traditional cigar shape and having a nice smooth transition to widening and then thinning again, you can see that this sort of has a bulbous shape, kind of like a bomb you would see in an old cartoon, or you know, you can see what it looks like. And then since this is the rubber and steel edition, you can see it's got that faceted rubber and steel pattern. All right, now if we come down to the bottom of the cap, we have two thin silver bands. One of them is on the bottom of the cap there, as you can see, and the other one is on the top of the barrel. They come together and they pretty much fit in with the faceted pattern on the pen. So not the band there doesn't really stand out, but it is there. Now if we continue down the barrel of the pen, we've got more of that rubber and steel faceted pattern, which I like quite a lot, which gives way to what looks like might just be some bands down here at the bottom of the pen in black and silver, and then a silver end cap, probably steel rather, but silver in color, I mean. Now, one thing about these black bands is they are not just decorative. The pen actually posts and screws on, so if you like to have a very secure posting, you know, that is not coming off of there. That is a kind of a cool feature. Now, if we take a look at the section, you can see that the section is pretty much a straight cylinder. It is metal, and one thing to note is that there is no lip up on the section near the nib, as is the case on many Montblanc pens. Now that combined with the metal section might make this pen a little bit difficult to hold for some people. Metal can be a little bit slicker than plastic, and so that lip maybe could have helped, but it's not there, so you know, so it goes. The threads on the section are quite not sharp at all, the opposite of sharp, quite dull, but there is a fairly large jump from the section up to the barrel. So if you hold your pen high, you are going to feel that. If it bothers you or not, you know, that's going to be your opinion. You know, it depends how it feels to you. Not an issue for me, but maybe for some people. Now this nib is very minimalist. See if I can get you a good view of it, get the light to hit it right. You can see there's the Montblanc star there, and then below that it says Montblanc, and then it says 14K 585. 14K obviously stands 14 karat, and 585 is the hallmark for 14 karat gold. Now I have seen some people refer to the Starwalker as having a steel nib. It does not have a steel nib, it has a gold nib. It is silver in color, so it kind of looks like a steel nib. It is a single tone nib, so it's pretty low key, and as you can see, it's sort of reminiscent of the Lamy nib in its sort of minimalist design, the way it wraps around, and the way it's very understated. If we take a look at the feed, pretty standard, gets the ink from the cartridge or converter to the nib of the pen. Nothing much to see there. Now if we take a look at the guts of the pen, you can see I can get it off here. You can see that the threads on the section are metal. So you're not going to be able to eyedropper this pen. Now, you probably wouldn't have been able to do it anyway since this is metal. You would have had some corrosion in there. Maybe you could have tolerated that, but you definitely cannot tolerate corrosion on your threads. Wouldn't be a good idea anyway, so either way, not going to be eyedroppering this pen. But if you get the resin model and it's got the metal threads there, you know, still you can't do it because those metal threads preclude you from eyedroppering it. The pen is cartridge only, according to Montblanc, but as I mentioned in my 5 things section, in case you've skipped right to the anatomy section, I've got a Faber-Castell converter that fits in here very well, very snugly. In fact, if anything, it's a little bit too snug. You really got to kind of get it in there, but that means you've got a very tight hold on it, and it's not going to be popping out of there. Faber-Castell uses Schmidt to manufacture their converters, so that's what I've got going here, and it works quite well. So let me pop this back in here. Quite a lot of turns to get the section onto the barrel of the pen. Get this back on here. Give you one last look at the pen as a whole, and we will call that done. That is the anatomy of a pen. Right, next I'm going to be rating the pen on 3 categories: on looks, on feel, and on bang for your buck. Now, if you're not familiar with my rating system, you want an explanation, you can click this link here. However, it is not too complicated, so no need to go running off. So let's start out with looks. What kind of a rating do I give this pen on looks? Well, let me start by saying there are parts of this pen that are absolutely a Betty Boop. The whole pen, I wouldn't quite give that score, and I'll tell you why. But in terms of the rubber and steel pattern, I really like that floating finial. I love that floating finial. When I saw this pen in 2003 when it came out, it took me this long to get it because I just didn't have the money and I had other priorities, etc. But I had to have it, and now I finally do. Now, the clip I also like quite a lot. I don't love the way the clip keeps the pen, or keeps the cap from standing upright, but the looks of it are very cool. Now, why do I not give this pen a 4 out of 4 stars, a Betty Boop, in looks? Because there are a few things that I don't like about the looks. For one thing, on this pen in particular, the rubber and steel one, you can see these lines on the cap and on the barrel. If I just screw this to the point of comfort, you can see that they're not quite aligned. They're close, but I gotta really get it on there tight, and then they will align. Now, the same thing is true on when I post the pen here. If I just get it onto the point of comfort, you know, where I would finger tighten it, the lines are not quite aligned. Now, I can see if I can really do it tight as I possibly can. Still can't get it quite aligned, but I can get it pretty darn close. Now, if you saw my video on the Visconti Divina Elegance, I'll link to it right here. You know that everything all lines up, whether it's posted or whether the pen is capped, that swirl pattern, and that's really a nice feature. I'm surprised they didn't do that at Montblanc. I would imagine they tried to do that and they were just a little bit sloppy on this pen, which doesn't speak very well to Montblanc's quality control, which is notoriously tight and usually quite good. But I didn't love that those don't really line up there. Now, just for the record, I'm not any Superman, but I'm a pretty strong guy. I play guitar, so I have strong hands, and I can get quite a good grip on this rubber and steel, and I still can't get these to line up when posting. So that definitely is just a defect in the pen. Another thing I don't love about the looks of this pen is, for a $600 pen, I would like a little bit more nibbage, a little bit more flashy of a nib. I know that this is sort of a, I wouldn't say a minimalist design, because there are some very cool design elements on this, you know, the clip and the floating star. And I didn't mention the end cap. I also like the end cap quite a lot. That is in the 4-star range. But this nib could have been just a little bit more flashy to me. On a Lamy, you know, for 30 bucks, a Lamy Safari or an All-Star or a Vista or whatever, you know, you don't expect a fancy, beautiful nib. But if you compare this to, for example, the nib on the 144, which is in the same price range, that nib is much more, it's just much better looking. Now, this is sort of a minimalist, very modern kind of a look. So maybe you think it goes better with the rest of the pen than one of those more traditional Montblanc nibs would. But this is my video, and it's my opinion, so that's what we're going with. So in the end, what kind of a score do I give it? You know, I think it's either gonna be a Lila, a 3 out of 4, or a Lila and half a Betty, 3.5 out of 4. So a good score on looks. I bought this pen because of the looks, so that should tell you something. That floating finial is very cool. I've never seen that before. And for the record, if there are a lot of counterfeits out there of these pens, and that is a good place to look at that floating finial to spot a counterfeit a lot of the times. A lot of the times a star will be too small, or it'll be a little bit tilted or just not quite perfect in terms of being suspended in that resin. So that's a cool feature. I'm sure it wasn't easy to get right. They did get it right, so kudos to Montblanc there. I really like the clip. I like the end cap. I like the rubber and steel. That's why I got this model. So, you know, I don't really look at the nib much. I don't see it much. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 3.5 out of 4. I'm going to assume that this pen, that the lines would line up on it perfectly. As you can see, they don't. And I already showed you here that they don't. But, you know, what are you going to do? If you get a regular Montblanc Starwalker that doesn't have that faceted pattern, that's not going to be an issue. And you're still going to have the cool finial, the cool clip. You're still going to have the what I would consider to be sort of a substandard nib in terms of the looks, but to each his own, horses for courses. So I'll just shut up and end this section. 3.5 out of 4 stars. Boom. Right, next I'm going to be rating the pen on feel. Feel is a little bit, you know, whenever I do these reviews, I always watch other people's reviews just to make sure I don't miss anything and that I'm not super off base. And from what I've seen of other reviews, if I had just watched other reviews, I would think this pen rates very, very well. It seemed to have the same wet line that a Montblanc normally has. It seemed to feel good in the hand to most people. However, I don't know if I got a bad one or what, but the feel for me was not good on this pen. The nib skips a lot. It runs dry. It's not nearly as smooth as I've got a good number of Montblancs. I've got a couple 146s, a 149, a 144. My dad has a couple that I've used. So I've got a pretty good idea of what a Montblanc can feel like at its best. And let me tell you, this pen is not Montblanc at its best. Now, I did buy this pen used, so I know you're going to say, well, you know, maybe somebody abused it, all right? And then in response to that, I'll say, well, I sent it into Montblanc, and they charged $125 for a tune-up. So I think that for $125, I told them to inspect for repair, which basically is a way of saying, if there's anything wrong with this pen, you let me know, and I will let you know if I want you to fix it. They told me what was wrong. I said, fix it. And my understanding was that I was going to get back a good, pristine, perfect pen. If you don't count, you know, the little bit of wear and tear on the body of the pen. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a little bit. But anyway, we're talking about the feel and the feed and the nib. This pen does not perform for me very well. It feels in the hand, you know, the metal section, I don't love. My hands can be a little bit on the sweaty side, you know, especially if I'm stressed out or something like that. The fact that this has a metal section and doesn't have the lip here that they have on the Meisterstück pens around the top, I don't like that. I don't like the fact that there's this jump between the section and the barrel. And for that matter, I don't like the fact that one generally has to post this pen if you don't want to lay the cap on its side. This pen is, you know, like all pens, I just don't tend to post my pens. I think that makes them a little bit back heavy. You know, it seems like they're really encouraging you to post this pen since you can't just set the cap down on a table like so. But, you know, what are you going to do? So, feel, I would almost give this a Kirk Van Houten, Can I Borrow a Feeling, which is 1 out of 4 stars. That's the lowest score I can give on feel. However, this pen is saved by the fact that it is a metal pen. It is, when it's not posted, it does feel well balanced. It feels nice and substantial in the hand. So it's just barely going to rise above that Kirk Van Houten, Can I Borrow a Feeling? And it's going to get a half of a Drake in my feelings. So we're going to say 1.5 out of 4 stars in feel. If you're interested in this pen, or if you have this pen and yours rates great, I am very happy for you. If you're interested in it and you want to watch some other reviews and you see that theirs rate great, I am very happy for them, and I hope that if you get one, you get a good one. But I should let you know, I would be being dishonest if I told you this pen wrote well. It just doesn't. So 1.5 out of 4 stars. Right, next we're going to look at bang for the buck. Bang for the buck on this pen, I don't know if I got a lemon or not. If all those other reviewers are crazy, and this is, the writing on this pen is par for the course on the Montblanc Starwalker, then the bang for the buck is going to be quite low, because this is not a cheap pen. This is a $600 pen, approximately $605 or something like that. I can't remember last time I checked the retail price. Now, I got mine used. I got mine for significantly less. I did have to send it to Montblanc for a repair because it wasn't writing well, and I thought it wasn't writing well because there was something wrong in the feed that they were going to fix, and it was going to come back and write great. Turns out that it came back and it wrote just the same as it did. When I got this pen, I thought I had a counterfeit. The fact that this didn't screw on here properly, that when it posted, the lines didn't line up, and that it just didn't write very well, those were all signs to me that I had gotten ripped off. So I sent it to Montblanc to make sure, to do the inspect for repair. Now, one thing, I'm going to put out a video that is sort of an amendment to my first Montblanc video. If you saw that Montblanc video, you know that you can send a pen in to inspect for repair, and the first thing they do in that repair inspection is to verify that it is a legit Montblanc. So it's a way to sort of get a free certificate of authenticity. Now, you're not going to get a certificate of authenticity. If you want that, you've got to ask for it. That costs $70. They send the pen off to Germany. It takes a little while, but you'll get a nice certificate in case you want to sell the pen, or you just want to hang up your certificate to show off, whatever, that says that you do have a legit pen. However, with the inspect for repair, it is free if you get some repairs done. That is to say, if you say inspect for repair, they say we want to fix your feed, it's going to cost $125, and you say, ooh, that's too much, no thank you, please send me my pen back. They're going to say, all right, $40 please. That inspection for repair costs you $40 if you don't get any repairs done. If you do end up getting the repairs done, which are going to be at least $100, I believe, is the cheapest for repairs, then that inspect for repair is not tacked onto the bill, then it is free. My first video said it was free regardless. That is what I was told by the concierge service. They didn't say exactly, they didn't explain it completely, but they definitely led me to believe that it was a way to get a free authenticity check. Now, if you rewatch my Montblanc video, you'll see I'm going to put up a card linking to a new video correcting my mistake. Forgive me for that if you saw that first video. But long story short, let's get around to the end of this section. I sent this in to inspect for repair thinking I was going to get back, a pristine pen, that they were going to fix everything wrong with it. Apparently they fixed everything they could find wrong with it, and it still rates just for SHIT. I don't want to swear on this. We're a family-friendly show here, so bring your kids, and I will keep it clean. But that's how this pen rates, is not worth a darn. So, bang for the buck. I still really like the looks of this pen. The finial is awesome. I can't say enough how much I like the finial. The clip is very cool. I like the steel look of the end cap. I like the faceted look. I wish he's lined up better, but from a distance that doesn't really show. So I'm still going to give this a 2 out of 4 stars, just because it's such a cool looking pen. The fact that it doesn't write very well though, and that the nib leaves a bit to be desired, it's just the bang for the buck isn't that high. Now, if your experience is significantly different from mine, if you get one that writes like a Montblanc writes, if this wrote beautifully, it would be a completely different story. I would still have a bit of an issue with the feel because of the metal section and the lack of the lip on the end of the section. The way, the pen feels when it's posted, since it kind of seems like you're forced to post it if you don't want to lay your cap down and potentially get it scratched up or get it whatever, have it roll off the table, or I don't know. I guess it's not going to roll because of the clip, but you get what I'm saying. So this could have definitely been a 3 or a 3.5 out of 4 stars. But at least with the pen that I got, it didn't quite get there. So we're going to say 2 out of 4 stars, a Molotov cocktail on Bang for the Buck. All right, finally, should I buy this pen? Yes or no? Should I Carpe Pluma seize the pen? That is a tough question because, like I said, I don't know if I got a lemon or not. If you get a pen like I got, you are going to be very frustrated and you're going to wish you had spent your $600 on either a Montblanc 144 or just some other brand. You can get a lot of pen for $600. You're paying in part for the Montblanc name, for the Montblanc branding, for the prestige of the Montblanc brand. So that money should, you should get a pen that just writes really well and feels great in the hand for all that. So I would say if you like the looks of this pen as much as I do, because this is, outside of my Visconti Divina Elegance, this is probably my favorite looking pen in terms of just that floating finial, the end cap, the clip. I've gone over that, what I like about the looks. So if you can get this at a discount, and actually this model being discontinued, that's the only way you're probably going to get it, is get it used somewhere or maybe find it from an eBay seller. Beware of counterfeits though, man. A lot of Montblanc counterfeits out there, and they are not easy to spot all the time. Sometimes they're bad and they're easy to spot. Sometimes they're really good though, and you don't know until you send your pen into Montblanc and they say, sorry sir or madam, your pen is a counterfeit. So should you buy this pen at full price? I wouldn't do it personally. It's the first time I've said not to buy a pen. So that tells you how kind of disappointed I was with the rating of this pen. I generally say Carpe Pluma seize the pen because I love pens. I want to have as many pens as possible. But I got this significantly discounted, so I don't feel too bad about my purchase. I at least kind of finally scratched the itch that I had for so long after seeing that finial and seeing this sort of cool, this bulbous cap and this sort of modern design. I kind of had to have this pen, and I'm glad I got it at a discount because I would have been real frustrated otherwise. So in the end, Carpe Pluma, seize the pen. If you can get it at a good price, go ahead and seize it. But I personally wouldn't pay full price for a Starwalker after the experience I've had with this pen. So that's going to be all for me. I'm Jay from Carpe Pluma. I would love it if you would like, comment, subscribe below. I'm going to get you a writing sample double quick, and I'll see y'all later. All right, bye for now. All right, party people, Jay from Carpe Pluma back with your writing sample for the Montblanc Starwalker. Let's go ahead and get into it. We have got the Montblanc, look, it's already darn skipping on me, Starwalker. And I literally just filled this pen just before I started here. And look, we've got skips here, here, here. And this pen was tuned by Montblanc, so, what are you going to do? Anyway, I'm using Montblanc Permanent Black ink. Again, skipped on the A there, a little skip on the O there, or at least a thinning of the line. And HP 32 pound laser jet premium choice paper. All right, now I didn't skip on this. Now maybe it was just because I was making long strokes, but let's see, if I make some circles here, you can see that it just, well, can you see that? Here, let me move my paper up a little bit. You can see that it just the feed just doesn't really keep up with the nib. I don't know, it's frustrating. But I didn't pay full price for this pen, so I didn't get ripped off as bad as it maybe appears. Let's get on with the writing sample. All right, let me do some figure eights here. You know, the nib is not super springy for a gold nib. Little skip there, little skip there. How about a line variation test? I just put down a regular line, and next to it, put down a little bit of pressure. All right, you can definitely see there's a little bit of variation there. It is a gold nib, so there is a little bit of flex. Just don't expect maybe quite as much flex as you would get in a Meisterstück nib. How about some backwards writing? Now it is a little inconsistent here. Definitely feels scratchy, as most pens do with backwards writing. It is a functional backwards writer, but barely. You can see on the good here, it got lighter. On the 4, it got lighter. On the OR, on the party, it got lighter here. Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of the party if you can't read that. But not a great backwards writer. Functional, you know, if you need to sign a receipt or something and it's bleeding through, you can put a line down. But as you can see, it is not, the feed is not really keeping up with it. It's not meant to be a backwards writer. But for that matter, the feed doesn't really keep up when I'm going forward, at least if I go fast. Up here, it just, you know, and I guess maybe, you know, it's always at the top that it seems to be thinning, so maybe it's just this pen really has a small sweet spot that I am not hitting, but it just doesn't write well for me. So I'm going to stop saying that and get through this writing sample. How about a little cursive? The quick brown fox jumps ... over the lazy dog. Cursive feels okay. You know, the nib feels a little bit stiff, a little bit scratchy for a Montblanc. So not great. This pen just isn't a great writer. How about a wetness test? 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000, 6 1000, 7 1000, 8 1000, 9 1000, 10 1000. So not a very wet pen. Oh, and I should note that for the record, I did do the trick I learned from Mr. SBRE Brown on this pen of widening the tines just a little bit to get a little bit more flow. So I have already done that. I'm afraid to do it anymore because I don't want to get railroading. You know, I don't want to bend my nib or spring my nib out of shape. But I have tinkered with quite a few pens and improved them myself. I can't get this pen to write the way I want it to, though, and it being a Montblanc, I'm afraid to do any changes that are too dramatic, especially since I already sent it into Montblanc, and supposedly they fixed it up for me, and it still rates not very well. All right, so let's see. We've got our pen, our ink, our paper, our figure eights, our line variation, our backwards writing, our cursive, and our wetness test. You know what? I'm going to give you one more little Carpe Pluma. And you can see it skipped here. It had, I don't know, there was maybe some fuzz on it, but it skipped there and it skipped there. We're just skipping all over the place. So that is my writing test for the very skippy, very poor writing Montblanc Starwalker rubber and steel with platinum trim. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I would love it if you would like, comment, subscribe below. I'm Jay from Carpe Pluma, signing off. Bye for now.